The reason why you're stuck at your skill level when you're trying to play gospel music and learn how to play just in general is because you keep trying to memorize stuff. I know this because this is something that I used to do. I memorized, of course, the major scale, and you probably know the major scale. All right, if you don't, you should learn it. And I memorized a couple of patterns and a couple of other things. The problem, though, is that when you memorize things, you don't leave room for any kind of creativity, and you don't leave room for principle. Now you've memorized the major scale, perfect. You need to learn that. You can't do anything, you can't play if you don't know the major scale. If you're playing, and this is all you know, you're gonna go out there, look on YouTube, you're gonna memorize things. Somebody has to show you something. Now, before you click away and say, all right, get to the point, I'll get to it. But I need for you to learn exactly, that's exactly why. The reason why you don't learn is because you want just to get right to the meat of everything. The problem is, everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. But you don't have to die. Just learn patterns. Don't stop learning patterns. You've learned them so far. So continue to learn patterns, as in 2-5-1 patterns, learn certain scales. Now, what I'm going to show you is this. This is something that you do all the time. A 2-5-1 pattern, this is consistent across gospel music because it comes from the influence of jazz. But this is something that you're going to hear consistently. But if you understand these tenets, you can build on it. Now let's take a look at some of the patterns that we already know, and let's build on those things. I'm Chris Moses, and this is Gospel Progressions University, where I'm here to help you and help you grow as a musician and a church musician. So we have in the key of A flat, for example, right? We're going to take this key and we're going to do some patterns in it. If you don't know, right, and I'll just briefly go over this. Now, our very first chord, our first triad in A flat is always going to be a major, right? So we have the major, the second chord is minor, third chord is minor, fourth chord is major, fifth chord is major, sixth chord is minor, seventh chord is diminished. So if we were to say first chord, second chord, third chord, we can shorten that by just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, and 7. So looking at that now, if I say to you 2 chord, well, I'll know that the 2 chord is minor, 5 chord is going to be major, 1 chord is going to be major. You'll find this all over gospel. So if we have a cadence that we're leaving a particular song, right? And we do something like this. All right, that's a 2. The first chord is a 2 chord, right? We're still on a 2 chord, right? Now we're going to the 5 chord. 1 chord. Now, you're going to hear something like that a lot in the end of a phrase, right? It's a 2-5-1. So to move on from that, say, for example, the person that was singing, they wanted to continue on in that fashion. Well, it's going to be boring to just keep playing this. It's, same thing over and over and over if they wanted to like run a reprise. So one of the first things that we can do is understand, okay, well, what we have here is we can take that last chord, right, and make it, instead of playing it as a 1 chord, we can take the relative minor of it, which would be F, and make it into a 6 chord. So, okay, so we have this, and this can continue because this isn't the tonic or the tonal center, right? So, all right, well, fine. So we did this now. We set this up so it can be the 6. So we have 2, 5, and 6 versus 2, 5, 1. So moving on from that, if we wanted to bring that back around so the person can repeat it, and then now we just do what we can do is take that same chord, even if we held it out, right? What it will do is take us right back around to a 2 chord, because if we moved in a particular direction, right, we know that B flat will go to E flat. And if we go up a fourth, 1, 2, 3, 4, E flat goes to A flat. We moved up a fourth again. A flat goes to D flat. We continue up a fourth. D flat goes to G flat. Going in fourths because we're just doing the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. G flat goes to, or F sharp goes to B. 1, 2, 3, 4. B goes to E. All right, and E, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes up to A. A, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes up to D. D, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes up to G. G, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes up to C. C, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes up to F. And then now F, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to B flat. So that would work if we were to move in the direction of fourth. So that's the first thing you need to remember, is that in gospel music, Everything moves in fourths. Have to keep that in mind. It will help you greatly. So first thing, very important. So we have the fourths, right? 1, right? If this is 4, 1, 2, 3. If this is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, right? All right, and you may be asking, well, what do you get the C and the D from? Well, the simplest thing is very easy. Everything is based off of the major scale. So if I'm counting 4, I'm counting C as a C major, or B flat as a B flat major, and so on. That's all you need to remember. Just everything is based off the major scale, and everything is done in fourths. So now we have our chord here, right? All right, now we go up to the 4 again of F. Of course, it's going to be minor, but we're not thinking of it playing as, well, I'm playing an F major, so it has to be a major chord. Or could it? Now let's listen to something that would sound slightly different. All right. Okay, now see what I did there? I say it's the same turnaround. A turnaround gets you back to the top of the phrase. This is another jazz term, right? And I did this here. What I did was use a B flat major chord, because I said, but before that, we're going up in fourths. So the fourth of B flat would be E flat. If we wanted to go up a fourth from E flat, we can resolve it to A flat. But instead of resolving it, we're giving it a deceptive cadence. We're giving the song a feeling of, oh, it's going to be done. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. What I did was play this B flat here. So I just did this D, A flat, and C in my left hand. Or I could have just done this just as well, because F goes right into B flat. See how that works? So let's back up here. If I wanted to go now to F minor, right? What am I doing? All right. So I can do this now. The reason why this here, right? Like I said before, when we have our chords, everything is moving in fifths. Typically, you're going to have something like a dominant 5 and a 1, a dominant 5 and a 1. This is gospel. Dominant 4. We did this, right? And we went from here to 1, and then we make this dominant, and then we went to this to major. Make this dominant, and then go here, and so on. Now, if we look carefully at what I just did, 2. Or we can do this. All right, for better clarity, or we can just do this. We have this here, right? Don't worry about this for now, but the important thing is, if you've seen this before, this is your C dominant, a C7 chord. So like I said before, if you follow the pattern of what we already know, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to F. Very simple. C7 goes to F major or F minor. It doesn't matter if it's a major or minor. It just matters that it's moving up in a fourth. Okay, so see how that works? All I'm doing is this. 2, or start here. If you can see 2, right? 5, and then going to 3, 6, and then 2 again to 5, and we can keep repeating this. And back up in A flat. But maybe we don't want to move there so quickly. Maybe we want to do something else that's interesting. So if we do, I keep wanting to do that. All right. So what did I do there? Nothing big, right? Nothing fancy. It sounds fancy, but it isn't that crazy. I'll show you why. Again, we're still doing the same pattern. 2. As soon as I get my melody up and running. right? Right, so we have our 5, and then we go to the 6, and now we go from the 6 to the 3, right? I'm sorry, from the 3 to the 6, forgive me. So, where am I? Right, 3. I can play it like that, but I like to play it like with the tritone and leave out the root. Just the E and the B flat, because the way it wants to resolve. Or so now we're going from that 6 to the 5, to the 2. Or really is it the 2? Now where does this come from? Like I said, you're gonna go, oh, that's a nice sounding chord. Let me memorize it. Quit doing that. Memorize this instead. I'll show you. F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E. That is called the melodic minor scale. You want to ingrain that in your brain if you're going to play gospel. It's super, super important. So what I did here, if you notice, now this is how we can look at it a few different ways, and one of them is probably going to resonate with you, the other may not. But I'm going to show you 2 ways how you can look at why this comes about. Now we know your major scale, right? We know our A flat major scale, all right? Whoop-de-doo, we got that down, right? Now, beyond that, we can learn other things. So, like I said to you before, don't worry so much about where this D flat came from when I played this chord here. That's from something else. But what I want to show you, the principle still remains that in gospel, things are still going to move up in fourths, whether you can hear it or you're playing it or not. It may be invisible to you. It's invisible to you because you're probably just out there memorizing chords. So here we go. All right. So if you noticed, the scale tones are from the same melodic minor that I've been playing, because if we look at, we put the B flat here, we put the A flat where we left it here, right? And the rest of these notes, we form the chord over it. And like I said, remember, things in gospel are going to move up in fourths. So that's one way of looking at it. All right, we have a chord substitution. Instead of just going right to, this major chord here, all right, we have another type of chord. All right, but it's still a B flat chord. But think about this. That's one way. You're moving up in fourths. So, all right, first one, second one, 6. Okay, and then now we can look at it like this. We're using the same chord, but flipping it. So again, just because it's a scale doesn't mean that everything has to start on the root. It's the F melodic minor. And if I went through that too fast again, the F melodic minor is F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E, and F. Basically F major, but with an A flat thrown in it. Okay, so this is another way you can look at it. As we're looking at the chord, right? All right, we go. All right, and it's a minor chord because it's being played in the key of A flat. You're playing the 6th degree, but this is also from a minor scale. So those two are related. So you can do this with just about anything. In other words, when you have a minor chord, you can look at the scale that's related to it, the melodic minor, and go to the 4th mode. So the 4th position, mode, or inversion. So playing like this, if we started here instead of here, we would get this. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. We would get this. All right. We have our B flat. What is this called again? Lydian dominant. Okay. And if you haven't seen my other videos with Lydian scales and the dominant scales, you can check the video out. I'm going to post right now in the corner. So we have that Lydian dominant sound, which conveniently works from the F minor to this, and then turn right back around, all right, and go to the minor chord. That works because in essence, you're playing a F to a B flat. Now I'll show you why. Again, All right. So F to a B flat, right? I did say that, but it's also playing the role of an F minor because it's the. So in essence, you could do this. And it would still work because you're playing the F melodic minor because it's a minor chord, an F chord going into another B flat chord. So it's still 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, and a 1. 2, 5, 3, 6. It's still a 6, although you changed the root, the tonal center. You're technically still playing this, right? And then that's why you can come from this and go here. And pay attention, pay attention. So the third, I think I'm on number 3. The thing you want to pay attention to is the melody. The melody is important because your leading tone, like when I went, what am I doing? I keep messing this up. Right, and all right. This part here goes along with the melody that I'm playing. So it leads the tone. Because it would be weird if it was this. It's still, the tone is still correct. It's in E, but I changed everything about the sound that I'm looking for. So of course, the tone by itself is important, or the tone of the top, the leading note, but it's also important with what harmonizes, because you're telling the air, go from here, and then, go here. You're leading to go somewhere, especially with a diminished chord. And you can continue to go. And then, and you can end right back and do that cadence, go right back to the tonic. I hope that makes sense to you. When you're looking at, again, your chord progressions, don't memorize chords so much as you're looking at patterns, what you're trying to find in a 2, a 5, a 1, a 7, a 3, a 6. Or 1, 3, 4, 5, whatever chord pattern it is, look at the patterns and then try to invert the scale. Just like this is a C major, right? This is a C major, and this is a C major. They're all very different tonally. They have very different colors. Same chord, but you can play that scale, or play that chord I'm saying, with a different root and give it a completely different feel. And that's what gospel is. It's a lot of improvisation, but the improvisation has to make sense because it has to be based on something versus just rote memorization. And if you want to learn more about scales, about these particular things that actually are helpful in gospel music, then you really, if you haven't yet, you really need to download my free guide. It's called What Do Pro Musicians Know That You Don't? It gets into a lot, well, specific things about gospel music that will help you playing gospel music to learn it, to start right away. Well, God bless you. I will see you in the next video. And yes, I'll leave the link in the description.